Hey, this is James Dixon, man. I'm just glad you guys are here, man. To be able to go live and talk to you, to connect with you, to take absolute motivation from being a phrase to being a lifestyle. I just believe that motivation is not just supposed to be something that moves you. It should inspire you to do something. And I believe that whatever it is that you're called to do, you got to do it with everything that's within you. When you go all in, what you find is you will always win. Follow your passion, follow your purpose. What did God put you on earth to do? Whatever that thing is, once you find it, you find your you find your peace. Man, I was never at peace when I was working a job. I'm talking about a job just so I could make ends meet, so I could just pay bills. When we do things just for finances, you'll find that you sell something more than what you sell your future, you sell your goals, you sell your dreams. The people that I'm bringing on today are folks who decided that they would cash in on themselves. I would bet on me when everything else was against me. I'm just going to trust God and go after my goals, my destiny, my purpose. Oh, today is special. I'm going to bring on one of our very own who's a part of the channel and one of the guys I've loved coaching, watching him develop. Again, our favorite general, Mike Oster, who has not only served the country, but continues to serve people every single day. If you recall, there was 1,100 men and women that followed him in a battle, and 1,100 came home. Man, you cannot beat that. The greatest win in life is being able to see others protected, grow, and develop. He does that. Come on in for a moment. How you doing, General?
Hey,
You doing
good morning,
good?
James. Good morning. Great to be here, buddy. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, first of all, man, even to have you, man, to see how you've impacted lives, you have this philosophy called a journey in excellence. Tell people what that means to you.
Yeah, it's it kind of came from that last deployment that I had, where I knew I was going to be in command and I was going to have all these souls, these mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, peoples whose loved ones had trusted us to be, in a combat zone together, and I was going to be largely responsible for them and their well-being and accomplishing the mission. And it occurred to me at that time that striving for excellence wasn't going to be enough. There was a level at which we could start to live where excellence was actually the average. So on a bad day, you'd function at a level of great, and on a good day you'd be spectacular. And so it just became apparent to me that it was that important. So that realization led to the realization that as a husband, a father, a community member, all the things that I was doing in my life, the
Mm.
life that we get, we don't know how long it's going to be. It's such a privilege to be here, that everything I spent my time on, the most valuable thing I have, needed to be done where excellence became my average. And so it wasn't a journey to excellence, it's a journey in excellence. And I love
Ooh,
having the
there we
opportunity
go.
to teach that to others, right?
I
That
like
we
that.
can all do that. It's a choice and a decision we make every day to do that.
Well, I tell you what, one of the things I've watched you impact lives, to speaking to people, encourage people. I can remember we went into to a church even and spoke in. We were in North Carolina, and I remember the things principles you taught. You shared this with leaders of leaders, whether it be spiritual leaders, community leaders. There were CEOs that were also present there. It was a give back for you. You were there, and then afterwards, we were in Utah, full of room of millionaires. You were the same guys, same principles. How is it that you've put together a program that works, whether you're highly motivated financially or if you're motivated just after goals? How do you speak to people at so many different levels?
Yeah, I guess in my mind, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but it kind of boils down to what you talked about, James, in the opening of this. It's understanding your purpose. And if you get that purpose, or if you get your why right, you can get it right at a level deep enough to where it's not just about the why. Simon Sinek wrote the book Start With Why, and it became very famous. And to me, a lot of people focus on the word why in that sentence. To me, the most important word in that title is start, because
Mm,
defining our purpose or our why is step one. You need to define the why deep enough so it's not just I'm doing it because. It's the next part is so that. What's the
mm.
follow on reason, not just the why, but the so that, and a couple levels deep. So I'm living on purpose with passion. And no matter what that is for you, if you've identified that, if you can understand that concept, whether you're leading a church or leading a family or leading a $1 billion corporation, if you understand the why deep enough to get the so that, then journey in excellence is a way you want to live. And people subscribe to that and want to be part of that. And that's why the program Journey in Excellence it fits everybody. It's not just about the C-suite executives, although it works for them. It also works for the person leading a community or leading, their small business. So it's a philosophy and a way of life that you find so much more fulfillment when you commit to that in everything that you do.
Well, that's just one of the reasons why he's one of our Mount Rushmore figureheads on the banner of absolute motivation. He's not just a speaker. He's a father, he's a husband, he is focused on family and his faith. And it comes through in everything that you do. Because you walk in excellence, because you hold yourself to a high standard, every day you're focused on living up to it. How do you stay motivated to make sure that you deliver every single day in all those different roles you play?
I think the main thing that I started doing, and just to be clear and to be, spirit of full disclosure here, I haven't always been able to do that. I mean, I look back at 20 years ago, Mike Oster, and I wasn't maybe subscribing to the things that I am now. It's a journey for sure for all of us to continue to grow. I believe we either are growing or dying every single day, and I'm not ready to be dying. I want to be growing. I want to get better at who I am so I can be better in all I do. And that journey in excellence is every night I remind myself of the things that I am so blessed to have in my life. Even the challenges that people see in their lives, I see as opportunities for growth. The issues that others see, I see as opportunities. The obstacles that other people see, I see as opportunities. And I reflect every single night on the great things in my life and the things that I get to do the following day. And that allows me to wake up every morning with a sense of gratitude and a sense of motivation and a sense of purpose, and then I just sit down and get after it because it's just such a blessing every single day. But it starts the day being motivated every day, starts the night before, reminding myself of all the great things in my life. And all we have to do is look for them because they're there.
Well, listen, I'm going to do even a favor to you and your whole bloodline. I'm about to introduce you to the one, the only, the greatest actor I've ever known. And it's not because I haven't known many of them, but it's because I know what he's about. I'm talking about a man who he is either the greatest villain of all time, but he is also the most spiritual, God centric actor of our generation. There are people who play roles, but there's a man whose role in life is to help people further themselves in faith. Without further ado, Absolute Motivation Nation, let me introduce the one, the only, the incomparable, irreplaceable Neal McDonough. Oh, oh my goodness. The dude is just good looking for no reason. Neal, what's up, man? Thanks
James,
for
I
coming
can't tell
on.
you how happy I am to be on your show. What you stand for, what you put out there for him is incredible, and to be on the same screen with, a bona fide hero like Mike, to bring 1,100 soldiers in and take 1,100 soldiers out,
Wow.
that's almost impossible. I've been blessed to have a string of really great military characters that I played in my career. Buck Compton from Band of Brothers, of course, being one of them. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone with that. And that's faith in yourself, faith in him, faith in your soldiers, faith in the whole situation, faith in the United States of America, that we can do the right thing, that we can stand together with pride and make sure that we're standing for all of the right things that we're supposed to do. And it's guys like you, Mike, that make that permeate through everything. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Neil. I appreciate
Man,
that.
way to
And you're
go,
absolutely
man.
right. that's a God thing. That's a faith thing, and it takes luck, timing, and some great people, and obviously divine intervention. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Mike, thank you for being on this morning. We will, since he's on the channel, you hear him in the videos, you hear him speak, and you'll hear him talk about the journey in excellence. It is something he's committed to, and you're going to see him in the videos. So as you're playing, you're listening. Now you understand that the heartbeat behind the voice is more important than just hearing someone talk. Mike, we love you. We'll see you we'll see you again this week. So
Yes,
we'll go
sir.
through the journey in excellence here.
That's
Thanks
right.
for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Man,
Love
I
you.
got
Have a
to
great
tell
day.
you.
Thanks, Mike. God bless you.
Yep,
Neal,
God bless you.
I am honored, man. Do you realize I'm sitting there? I was working in the factory in what was my life. I was third generation working in the factory, and I thought this is what God called me to. It's about getting a job. If you can get six-figure income, you've made it. You get
Right.
the house, you get the dog, you get kids, and all those things. And then all of a sudden, you realize it is not enough to just get a job. You got to find out what kind of deployment God has for you, because His employment's different.
That's
The
right.
role that you play, the stuff you go into. And as I was working, I can remember, there was a wave that went through my factory, and the wave was called Justified. And there was a role that you played there that impacted so many lives. And there was a mini revival that took place in Fort Wayne, Indiana. 4,300 people, man. And I can tell you that there were comments all over the place when I mentioned. They said, "Do you remember when?" And I'm saying, thank you for choosing not to just take a job, but to take a calling. The calling that you have touches many lives. Where did that calling begin with you?
Oh boy. I think since I was the youngest of six kids, and I came along much later. So my mother always called me the greatest mistake she ever made. So my job was, and we didn't have any money as kids, was to kind of entertain everyone and make everyone laugh and put on shows. And my mother would say, "Get up there and sing a song," or "Get up there and dance." Both my parents are from Ireland. So at a young age, I always had an audience, and I loved entertaining audiences. When I got to high school, it was all either sports, which was entertainment for me. I'm on the mound pitching. It was that, to me, that was entertainment, or playing hockey, wherever the case was. But it was when I got on stage as Snoopy and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, my opening night, and I got a standing ovation. And it wasn't an ego thing that, man, wow, I'm good. It's, wow, God gave me a gift that I can give back, and people will listen. And there's this reciprocal feeling that we have when I'm on stage, and the audience is really intently listening to everything that we do, that it just kind of progressed to, oh, okay, now I know I'm really good as an actor. That's a God-given talent. It doesn't make me special. It's just a God-given talent. He asked me or challenged me to use the form that I have to tell about the great glory of Him, and to push His narrative, and not just my narrative or anyone or an earthly narrative. So I'm blessed. I get to have a partner like my wife, Reve, that gets to, I always say I can walk through life with one hand behind my back as long as the other hand's being held by Reve. And the two of us, what we've done in the last few years, James, it's been, COVID was an awful thing,
Right.
but it made you think, okay, where am I? What can I do? How can I make the world a better place? And right in the middle of COVID, Reve and I decided, okay, we're going to start doing films that give glory to Him. Whatever we can do, we're going to start doing movies that give glory to Him. So our first film was this teeny little film called Redstone that we did for $350,000. And it was about a hitman. And about halfway through the film, the hitman finds his rosary beads, and he realizes what he's doing is wrong. And we liked it so much that we said, okay, let's do part two. And we did it for $1.5 million. And Reve went out and raised the money, and we sold that one. And that did really well. And then we went on to another film for $3 million, another one for $3 million, another one for $5 million. This last one that we just finished, which we'll talk about, The Last Rodeo, we did for $9 million, with the incredible, amazing John Avnet directing it. Michael T. Williamson, who played Bubba Gump, plays my best friend in the film. And it's all about this rodeo legend who has to go back to ride the rodeo to save his grandson's life because he got a brain tumor. Wow. And it's just an awesome film that Reve and I produced. I wrote with my partner, Derek Presley. Reve is my first time I've ever kissed a woman on screen is in this film, and I get to kiss Reve because I said, if I'm going to have a woman in this movie and I have to kiss her, it's got to be you, honey. She's like, I'm not an actress. I'm like, well, you are now, and she killed it, James. She killed it.
Man,
you know, and all these things are to give glory to him, and all of our films, everything that we strive for, everything we kind of do in life is always about trying to give him glory, right? If you're living your life correctly.
Come on, listen, I gotta.
And then I meet cats like you, and I'm like, okay, now we just ratcheted it up a little bit more.
Yeah,
ratcheting it up a little bit more.
Listen, I gotta tell you, I'm sitting here, and the way you say numbers, you're like, hey, we did it for 350,000. Then the next is 1.5, and then the next 5, then now 9. Man, to see that what God has done is every time you increase your commitment, He increased the budget.
Yep.
And as a result of it, man, that just lets you know that in a mindset that we struggle with, most people think there's limited resources, there's scarcity there. But the fact is, man, there is an abundance in our Father, and He wants you to do more and be more because you elevate His name.
That's
it's
right.
kind of like the whole idea behind the verse that says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men. It's just about lifting them up.
That's right.
And you constantly do that. And every time you did that, the fact that you said you kissed for the first time on screen, but it was your wife you kissed, right? It was like to have that.
That was one of my favorite days I've ever had as an actor, by the way.
Wow.
I'm famous for 1 or 2 takes.
Yeah.
Not that day, dude. I was like, oh, no, I need another take. Oh, no, I need one more take. I need one more. It was really kind of a celebration. That moment, I'll never forget it. That was, maybe my proudest moment as an actor ever was to be on stage surrounded by, my favorite director on the planet, John Abnett, a bunch of my great, dearest friends. And there I am doing a scene, holding on to my wife, Reve, who in the film is my wife who's dying of cancer, with the makeup on her face. And the whole film is all about what would ever happen if something happened to Reve. And then I started writing the script.
How deep did you go?
What's that?
How deep did you go on that? I mean, because you had to envision that. You had to. That's a real fear. It wasn't. Wow.
Yeah, it was one of those. You just go there. Imagine that thought. Imagine that thought with Nikki. Imagine that thought with what all of you guys out there who are listening. What would happen to you right now if something happened to your significant other? And I was doing a Western called The Warrant at the time that Reve and I were also producing. And the two of the ideas, the Western world and love, all kind of mixed together, and then have God as the backdrop. And it kind of just made perfect sense. We wrote it so quickly, and we raised the financing fairly easily because of the message. Here, we're doing a movie that's going to give glory to God, and it's going to be an old school, all-American, great film that talks about family, with rodeo as the background, with me on bulls and everyone else. And we have the greatest riders on the planet, all in the film, which is just all these things that happen so quickly, so amazingly, all for His glory. It's incredible what happens when you set your mind to something and you have His back, and He has your back. That everything great will happen, and you don't have to worry too much about it. It just happens, and that's where we're at right now at the McDonough Company.
Listen, when you talk about that, what motivates you after all the things that you've done? What motivates you? What keeps you going? Because this channel is all about absolute motivation. Yeah. There you go.
I always say I have 2 bosses. My boss in life, the whole big picture, is God. And if I'm working well and I'm doing a great job for Him, that means great things will be coming in my way. You don't do it for the things. You do it for the great feeling of knowing you're doing the right stuff. Yeah. But the other one is my boss down here on this earth, and that's my wife, Reve. Not just my boss, that's a weird term to say it, but my partner in everything, my partner in love, my partner in life, my partner with our 5 kids, our partner is, in our films. And now she's also my manager / agent. So it's all in-house now at the McDonough house. And it's phenomenal because Reve understands where I want to go. I understand where Reve wants to go. And it's the same path. And that we go on this journey together with love is just, I'm the most blessed guy on the planet because I get to do what I love to do with the person I love the most. What could possibly be better than that?
Man, it is. It's not what, it's who, right? and
Yeah.
it's the who's you let in your life. You're doing something amazing coming up this week. We're sitting here just days away from you arriving in Nashville, coming to Franklin, Tennessee. Can you talk a bit about what's going on in Franklin, Tennessee?
First of all, at 58 years old, I'm too young to get a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's just weird. So, the International Christian Film Festival down in Nashville, Tennessee this weekend, they're honoring me with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I'm to say that
That's
I'm
awesome.
touched is just, it's just an incredible feeling to know that all I've been through, the ups and downs and everything else, to be here at this point in my life and to be acknowledged for the hard work that I've done is really kind of amazing. And then to have you there, James, to speak at it.
Oh man,
I mean,
I'm like pumped about it.
come on,
Hey,
you're going to crush that
listen,
thing.
we were
If
sitting
you're in
here.
Nashville and you're not there that night, you've made yourself a massive mistake. The two of us are on stage
Oh,
together talking about him.
can you imagine, guys? I got to tell you, there are great things in Nashville, but nothing
Oh
will be
yeah.
greater than a gathering to do something so monumental as gathering with purpose, passion, and for worship. Man, one of the greatest things that I've had in life, and I've found, is that my grandmother instilled in me the belief that I could be anything or do anything. But it's not just from just a general belief. It came from Philippians 4:3. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. There are times, brother, I felt so weak. I felt inadequate because I lost a leg and I never even walked into 11. I mean, I struggled with these things and I was getting up. I've been through trials and breakups and bankruptcy, divorce. I've experienced it all, right? And these losses. And yet I keep finding that his strength was more than enough. And I had to get to the point where I stopped trying to be my own boss and said, God, you write the script, man. I just want to play my role, servant, leader, and wherever you lead. And then he leads me to your doorstep, man. From a conversation to be able to stand on stage and give God glory from the background I came from. One of my greatest milestones in life, brother, is to serve him beside you. Thank you for that opportunity.
For those of you who don't know, it seems like James and I have known each other for a very, very long time. We've known each
Yeah.
other for about 72 hours.
Yeah.
We had an event I was in Minneapolis this weekend, and I did this good news conference for this Catholic organization, and we did a speech for a few thousands of people, and it was just really this amazing, beautiful thing. And then Andy Garcia and Joe Montana were doing this big fundraiser in Los Angeles, and I just flew back. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go. I'm just beat. I don't know. And Reve's like, no, you gave your word, you're going, so you're going. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. So we go there and saying hi to everyone, and I run into James, and we talk for a couple of minutes, and then afterwards we're leaving, and there's James outside, and all of a sudden it hit, and the two of us and Reve, and
Oh my goodness.
something happened that was like, wait, you're not leaving yet. Wait, you're not
Yeah.
leaving yet. You guys are getting together, and watch what happens. And this 72-hour friendship has turned into something that's really kind of beautiful and amazing. And
Oh man.
your generosity by saying, "Oh, I'll come down and I'll speak at your conference in Nashville this weekend, 7th." And who does that? It's him aligning us together to
That's
make
right.
great things to give glory to him. It's simple when you really think about stuff. The great things that happen in life are truly simple. They just land in front of you. The hard part is opening your eyes and your hearts to it. We could have just gone straight to our car. James could have gone straight to his
Oh
car.
yeah,
Whatever.
you can
But instead,
you
he stopped
can
and
miss
like,
a
hey,
moment.
that's right.
And I was thinking of this when I was sitting there. What's amazing is I'm sitting and I didn't know how to act. I'm sitting around all these amazing people that I've watched in movies and stuff. And I didn't want to be too big of a fan, so I'm sneaking pictures like this here, right? But so then they're all coming out blurry, and I'm texting them to mom. Look, the guy from Ghostbusters. Here's Ernie. And then all of a sudden I look over there, and Ernie's doing the same thing, and I was looking around. It's like
Everybody
he's
was
like, hey,
doing it.
yeah,
Everybody
everyone's
was
doing it. And so I was like, wait a minute. If you find yourself walking with giants, it's because you're one of them. Some of our biggest fears is that we don't belong somewhere. You
Yeah.
have no idea. Your steps can be ordered, and when you get there, you belong there. We don't ever have to feel inadequate or that we're children of a lesser God, because God is not a respecter of persons. Who you are and what you have is a great value. It's like gumbo. You need all those ingredients to make it taste good. And Neal, Reve, you guys jump in there. You bring meat and substance to take care of people because you speak to the heart.
I'm gonna read you something that
Okay.
my pastor back home, Willie Ewing, whom I've known since 7th grade.
Wow.
He's been my brother forever, and he sends me scriptures every day. He was in the Army for 22 years, 12 years preaching. I mean, he's just it's an incredible human being. So here's what he said. Here's what he sent me. I think you're going to dig this. And this I pray, that your love may abound still more and more in knowledge and all discernment, that you may approve the things that are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ. Praise be to God, and thank you again for this morning. And this is my favorite part, because he always explains what he thinks the scripture is about. The purpose of our existence. It's pretty awesome. Right there alone. The purpose of our existence, why we're even here, is to be the glory and praise of God. Right?
Come on, man. Yeah.
This is the ultimate reason for our actions. We grow in love, which will cause us to be able to choose what is excellent and bear the fruit of righteousness, so that God is praised and glorified.
You hear that? There's like a mic drop. I'm just going to grab a mic and drop it. That's a word.
Look, we're all idiots at times. We're all sinners. There's only been one who hasn't sinned, you know, and he was human. He was human in the temple. And I said at the speech last week, in the temple where he tore temple apart, that was the human side of Jesus. He was like, this is wrong. This is right. And if you always do things for his glory, if you're always trying and striving to do the right thing for him, life becomes so much less and less about you and your needs and your wants. And if you're out there really working hard for him and trying to do the right thing, even when you don't feel like doing it, you're having a bad day, you came from nothing. You didn't come from, I came from immigrant parents, 6 kids. My dad worked at the Ford assembly line to start. You know, there was, he came over from Ireland, walked straight into an army office and said, make me an American. They shipped him overseas for 5 years. He came back, worked a Ford assembly line, met my mom, and that's how it all started. So I didn't have much growing up, but what my mom and dad instilled in me was faith. Faith that you can, as you just said, James, achieve anything that's possible. Anything you want to achieve in life, you can do it. I'm a kid from Hyannis, Massachusetts, who has been in 100 movies and 1,000 hours of television. When everyone said, you are out of your mind, there's no way you can make it in Hollywood. And once you start listening to them, that becomes a fact. You won't make it in whatever you're doing. Wow. But once you believe in yourself and your God-given talents, I knew I had a God-given talent. I knew that I was great on a stage. I'm not great at Reve laughs at me. She says, you can't pound a nail. You can't tell a joke, but man, you can act. And that's like, you know, that's my go-to. And if it wasn't for my mom and my dad instilling that faith through him in me at a very young age, which is what Reve and I do in our house. God first, me second. Family first, me second. If you instill these things into your children, then you watch these little flowers bloom into something that's amazing. But if you don't instill that into them at a young age about what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do, what are the wrong choices, what are the right choices, but you can't really tell your kids those things unless you walk that walk. Come on. You can tell them all day long, don't do this, don't do that. And all of a sudden you're doing it. And they're like, well, you're doing it, Mom, Dad. You're not, you know, so if you live in a life that gives glory to him, and that ain't easy. There are plenty of people out there who are like, no, I don't want it. You can't be. No, stay that course and great things will happen.
There is something I was thinking about and we were talking about the course. You know, there were times that it seemed easier to go a different path. It may even feel like, why is it that people who are less focused on him are winning? And the more that I focus, the more I try to give, the more you're struggling. Perhaps you're watching, you're listening now, and you're like, man, I keep trying to do right, but every time I'm trying to do right, this thing happens, that happens to me. Let me tell you this. Your gifting must be so amazing that whatever things you feel like are trying to assassinate your greatness, whatever it is inside of you is so great that if all those forces are against you, imagine if you keep pushing through what you're going to become. Because God never puts more on you than what you can bear. And I promise you that you are a bear. You are a beast. If you ever discover that, that's Satan's biggest fear, that you ever see yourself with the potential that you truly carry. Because if you fulfill that, oh, man, you change things.
That's right.
Man.
You live by a code that Rivet created this idea. You want to be the kind of person that when you get out of bed in the morning, your feet hit the floor, the devil says, "Uh-oh, he's up."
Yeah, there you go, man.
Right? And
Yeah, listen,
that's you,
man,
James. You
bro.
walk the walk. You're doing what you know is right, not for your betterment, but for his betterment and his children's betterment, which are your brothers. This is funny. It's I want to start this thing, and James and I were talking about it, and you guys can write in or tell us what you think. But I want to start this thing called Godapalooza, where there's a weekend of, we went to Coachella this year with Rivet and Richie, got tickets for all the kids, and we all went to Coachella, and it was this great thing. Tens of thousands of people and food trucks everywhere and all this great stuff. And it hit me that if we start something that is a weekend about love and about God and about this food trucks, there's open fields, there's music, there's great speakers, but there's not just speakers about the Christian faith, the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, agnostics, everyone's sitting here celebrating God in a positive, loving, amazing way. That's something that hasn't been done, because if we really are children of God, if we are his brother, we're brothers and sisters.
That's right.
So if we're brothers and sisters, doesn't matter the color, the creed, the race, how much money you have, how much money you don't have, where you're from, where you're born, all these things. If we realize that we are sons and daughters of God, that makes us all brothers and sisters. Shouldn't we be rooting for each other instead of tearing each other down all the time?
Man.
No one talks about that. No one talks about, okay, so some kid who was born in one part of the world has no idea what Christianity is, or another kid who's born in the other. So all he knows is another. Are they bad people? No.
Man.
We're all brothers and sisters under him. He created everything, all of us together. So if we can get a weekend to talk about that and celebrate,
imagine that
all related, it would.
We just got to make that happen. We got to make that happen. In fact, we can plan on that. Listen, there are 1.5 million soldiers that are subscribed here. You guys can make this thing not only a reality, but we can change the world. Can you imagine them? There's a difference between motivation and a movement. If I motivate you and I was like, get up and go,
that's
but a
great.
movement,
this is a movement,
man. You can change brother. I got to tell you, when I was writing my book, I was writing my story. It's really a diary. It's a love letter to God written through the eyes of an 11-year-old, talking about what grandma encouraged me to do in spite of how I felt about me. And it gets to a point where they were like, hey, if you put the gospel in, if you talk about God in it, it won't sell well. I had people tell me, don't do that. And I was like, I have to do it. And so when they were like, James, you're a best-selling author, I was like, no, it is because all I did was echo the author. And everything that I know in life, no matter how many times I'm low, I'm reminded, man, that I am blessed, I am gifted, I am given an opportunity to serve. The movies you do, it is not that you are acting, it is that you are serving. And what you do is you impact lives, man, with encouragement. That's why those of you who are near Nashville, I don't care. I hope that somebody will travel from Atlanta or wherever you got to go, show up. Where are we going to be on the 7th? Where are we located? What church is
boy,
that?
Honey.
There we go.
I'll get the exact address.
All right, it's Franklin, Tennessee. And we'll put the website of where you can go. You can get tickets, man, to expand that and give you the opportunity. There are only 900 seats. Man, I want every one of you guys to be able to get in, to fill that place up and be a part of something historic.
And there's going to be, Andy Irwin, who's created, the Kingdom Story Company, who's created some of the most fantastic films. Andy and John, they're brothers. They're the ones who really carved the way for us to be able to. Christ Community Church, Rivet just texted me. Thank you, honey.
All right, Christ Community Church.
What would I do without Rivet? I don't even know.
And so Christ Community Church and Franklin, Tennessee. Guys, you got to come. And we'll go ahead, and if we got the website of where that is, In fact, I think I do. Let me pull that up. Guys, it is internationalcff.com. Internationalcff.com. Maybe we can magically make that appear on the screen in the lower thirds there.
International Christian Film Festival.
Internationalchristianfilmfestival.com. That's
right.
where you can get tickets.
Mhm.
You want to be in the atmosphere. There were things, man, I wish I had been able to be a part of in life, and I missed
The tickets
moments.
might be sold out by now. I'm not sure, but check into it because it's going to be.
Yeah,
So Andy Irwin's going to introduce me. You're going to speak. You're
yeah,
going to give 20 minutes of whooping. It's
yeah.
going to be amazing. Andy Irwin's going to come on and introduce me, and he's going to speak for a good little bit. And just some of my friends, Margie, who's one of our dear friends there in Nashville, she's helping run this whole thing, and Bernie Taupin and his amazing wife, Heather. Bernie Taupin, if you don't know, wrote all of Elton John's music. And Bernie's writing music also for our film, The Last Rodeo. The people that will be there, it's just going to be Leanne Womack's going to be there. She sang in our film, and thanks to Margie that all happened, and to Heather. But it's just going to be an amazing event, and we're all there to give glory to him, and to be part of that. I'm telling you, it's going to be infectious and awesome, and it's our first event that we're doing, and it's just going to build every year after this, and it is going to be a movement now, as James just perfectly put. So
That's it. Oh, man, listen, when we start talking about, you want to start on a path, and people's like, man, I want to be a speaker. They tell me all the time, oh, they want to do something. And they think that the way to do it is, hey, I've got 4 ways so that you can grow. It's not infomercial stuff. It's not those 4 ways. Throw that out. It's by serving others and being focused on. There it is on the screen. Thank you so much. There it is. So
Who's that
it's
good-looking
about
dude?
serving. Look, man, look at that,
That's you?
man. We look like it's salt and pepper shakers there. We look good though. You
We
know?
do. It's a perfect match. Perfect.
We're sitting here, and I was thinking, the more that we serve, the more opportunities you get. And I was sitting here, I was thinking about this, and I'm going to relate it back to my story, back to what you're doing. When I lost my leg, I felt a sense of shame because my father was always like, I just can't give birth to a cripple. He just could not accept me because of my disability, something I could not control. And many of you have had things happen in life that were outside of your control. There are things that you can't change, but you weren't supposed to. You were wonderfully and curiously made from the beginning, whether someone acknowledges that or not.
Amen.
You are uniquely handcrafted, man. You're like a special fingerprint from God, as is. But I want to tell you, there were times where I allowed the words of others to shape my world. But then when I got into an idea and I began to grow and began to believe, I understood that just as I am and just as you are is unique, it is powerful, it is wonderful. And the moment you discover that your value is not based upon someone's word or perception, but is in his word and his value and his love for you, here's what I found. You come off of mute and stop being silent. And when you begin to speak, people hear that voice and they come. I'm telling you, Nashville is the beginning of it. The Godpalooza has to happen because there are people that need us to come off of mute so that they can hear.
Amen.
Neal, you've been speaking this, it's been born in your heart, and I know it will resonate in the lives of others because it's a place where people in the most divided political settings and all those other things, we drop that stuff out of the way and we get back to, am I my brother's keeper?
Well, all the noise that's being made right now isn't being made by him. It's being made by a darker force. Look at politics now. You can't even talk about politics without getting in a fight with somebody. You can't talk about any issue. You can't talk about anything. It's just an odd time, and we need to have a place where we can have a forum that you can speak freely about how you feel about God. When did God not become hip? Right? What happened that we became so dark? And I'm a culprit of it. I'm part of it. We make the entertainment that we make has been so dark for so long. I had to play villains and everything because I won't kiss another woman on screen. Everybody knows that. So now I get that my career has gone to a point where they're like, what would you like to do next? I like to write my own movies. Okay, let's see. What do they like? Well, they all have God as a backdrop. Oh, okay. And they're all doing so well that it's kind of shocking to me that not more of these films are being done. And going back to it, the Erwin brothers were the guys who really pushed hard to get this thing really in motion. Their movement by making films that give glory to him started it all for everyone else. If it weren't for them, Dallas Jenkins and The Chosen, that came along thereafter. Our films that we're doing at the McDonough Company all came after it. All started with the Erwin brothers. Those guys were on such a, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to achieve it through him. And it's not for us. John and Andy, those guys are incredible. They're selfless. They're not about them. They're all about him and how we can make entertainment to give to all the other people, to listen and to enjoy and to think, how can I be better? If this guy in this movie got through it, why can't I get through it? We all have things we have to get over in life. But the Erwin brothers started this trend, and that's what we're doing now. All of our films are about how can this person overcome this horrible thing to get to the other side. And we all need that. We all need coaching at times to get to the other side, because sometimes the lives that we're going through, look, I used to drink like a fish, especially after I couldn't get a job for a couple of years because I got fired from that one job because I wouldn't kiss another woman on screen. I was a mess. I was a mess. They took away my house. They took cars. They took away my everything. And this big, I had so much stuff. And I think I was taking everything for granted so much that God said, you know what? This isn't about, like it says in Sirach 2, in fire, gold is tested. Right? We're all gold. All of us. What you just said, James, we're all unique. We're all different. God made us all different. They're our own thumbprint. That we are so unique. You have to embrace your uniqueness and enjoy that uniqueness. Because there are times when you go through those dark times and they're really hard to get through. Who's the only person that can really pull us through that? And that's God.
Man, I got to pause you, brother. Not only do I agree, but I want to say this to you because there's something you said. You skated over it because you got through it. I have this quote that is, in order to become something, you got to go through something. And whatever you face must also face you. And this thing here, you had a choice. You could have easily acquiesced. Okay, I'll kiss whatever, male, female, whatever, dog, cat, whatever it is, so I can keep my job. But you were willing to risk it all for a principle. And as a result of it, man, people would think, hey, that's so honorable. But it's honorable to people when they think it's easy. But it wasn't easy for you.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's sometimes you're tested. And sometimes if you really want something, look, if you want to be the starting quarterback for a football team, you are going to be tested. If you want to be the CEO of a company, you are going to be tested. If you want to be the best plumber that you can be, you're going to be tested. It's what you do the next day and wipe all that stuff off to say, okay, I went through some hard stuff. How am I going to get through this? What kind of person really am I? Really, what kind of person am I? And I got called out. What kind of person am I? I was probably 15 pounds overweight. I was drinking beer. I was taking, I was just wallowing in self-pity because I was going through all this stuff. And then one day I said, God, why have you forgotten about me? And as soon as I said that, I dropped to my knees and I sobbed. And I've told the story a million times, but it was like it was yesterday. It was 12 years ago. And that's when I realized I was making it about me. I was making pain about me, not how can I be the best version of me, not just for me, but for my wife and my kids and my career and my life and for him. And as soon as that happened, and I hadn't worked for 2 years, the phone rang 10 seconds after I fell on my knees. And it was Graham Yost who created Band of Brothers and Boomtown. He said, hey, I hear you're going through some hard stuff. I want you to be the villain on Justified.
Wow.
It was, and ever since Justified, that was like, I finally got called back up to the big leagues and I was on the mound throwing and I was not going to do anything but throw strikes. And it was, since that day, I take nothing for granted. I never look backwards. I'm always looking forward. What can I do to make the world a better place in entertainment? What can I do to make the world a better place as a man, as a father, as a husband, and all these things.
Dude,
but it gave giving up alcohol. Wow. It gave staying the course. It gave, look, 9 years ago when I gave up alcohol, things were just weird and murky and weren't great. And as soon as I got through that, because Reve had my back, Reve was with me all the way. So you can do this. You got this. You're better than this. And as soon as I gave it up, all of a sudden, in the last 9 years, I produced 6 or 7 films with Reve. And they're all starting to come out now. With the shift came out this last year, we got Homestead coming out, at Christmas. We got The Last Rodeo coming out. We've got Bridged. We've got all these other films, these great films that I've done, and it's all because I gave over and said it's not about me anymore. It's about a bigger thing, and that's what's happened to me. So I'm living testament that if you give over to Him and you give all of yourself to doing the right thing, and there are times where you're going to get tripped, you're going to fall flat in your face at times. Get back up, keep on that race, keep on that goal line. Great things happen, and you don't have to worry about all the stuff. Stuff just falls in your lap. You're like, I don't need that stuff.
Man, I got to tell you, I not only do I love that, but the very thing that I kept saying justified, and is not only what the word means, but it makes sense. Think about the situation that you were facing at the time. And it was, so the trials, was it worth it? Was God still loving in spite of the fact that you were going through the trial? He was justified. You understand? It made sense now when you look back, and He said, man, I put you through, but who can put a weapon out to war that hasn't been tested? What purpose do we serve if we've never been through anything? If you're a life coach and you're 16 years old, what have you lived it long enough to do it? Yeah, it takes something. You got to go
My
through
son
all
Morgan's
those
18. He's a
ups.
pretty good life coach.
Yeah. You have to go through things in order
Yeah.
to become something. And as a result of it, you end up having this roadmap that you can take and give to others and be like, hey, He gave me something I can give to you to help you get through it, because if I did it, you can do it.
That's right.
Man, this has been proximity for me. Man, I was around people that needed to see what was unjustified, and you gave it. It changed some lives around me. And then to be here today and to have been from the factory floor where your dad was, and that's where I was being a dad from, and I learned something. Even though when I was paying the bills, even though I was doing all those things we were supposed to, I was paying the bills. I was showing up. I would go to work. I would arrive early. I'm never late. I don't call in. I don't miss, and I don't use excuses. I don't let my leg bother. I say whatever it is I'm going through, I won't say a word. But here's what I learned: that every moment that I missed of those baseball games, the basketball games, the soccer, the tennis, and I was robbing my kids of true child support.
All right. So here's the thing. So you told me a story last night.
Yeah.
There you are. You had just quit your job.
Mm. Yep.
And you showed up at your son James's soccer game with Nikki.
Yep.
What did James do?
He just broke down and cried immediately. The very second
what's
he
life?
saw.
Life's about family.
Yeah. And it dawned on me then, and then when I went over to the tennis match, I would go watch, and I saw Jeremiah, and he's not the most vocal of kids, right? And so if he's feeling something, you ask him, and he'd be like, he won't tell you. But that moment, he jumped over the net, comes over, cries, wets up my whole front of my shirt, and that's when I realized, man, there is a prodigal father comes home too. You see, there are men and women who are watching. I don't care what you've gone through or whatever it is that you just understand that you are necessary, you are needed. How you show up at your job isn't just the place you need to show up, it's in those other roles that really matter. At the end of the day, I was working at GM. I've watched people die at the factory. They were putting all this time in working, the person dies. They move the person out of the way. Medical moves them. Someone else, a temp or a team leader, would step into that job immediately. Line's not going to be down because trucks have to be made. So we were building the trucks. We weren't building people. Building the trucks, putting the trucks out. Honorable task. But when the person would die, they would simply replace them. The next day, a new person's in that role, and there's nothing said. And at the end of the life, all there is there a sentence in the obituary that they worked for 23 years at, and that's it. General Motors won't show up at the funeral or anything else. But you know what does? The name that's on those kids, the lives you touched, that can live on. But it matters about what we leave. And that legacy that you're doing, your
Well,
son.
Yeah, that dude's a dude. That
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, he's that dude. But the way he ended his videos was more powerful than anything. He's like, a day in a D1 athlete's life. Get up, you gotta stretch, you gotta work out.
If you
You
haven't
know,
seen it, guys, our son Morgan, he's now at University of San Francisco as a golfer, and he put this video out the other day on TikTok, what it's like to be a D1 golfer and the preparation. And as James was alluding to it, he goes through the whole day, and the last thing he shows is him reading the Bible. And I can't tell you, there wasn't. I mean, I got so choked up looking. I'm so proud of that boy that, you know, he puts his money where his mouth is. He walks the walk. He's, you know, he doesn't drink. He doesn't do stupid things. He doesn't, you know, he really tries to be a disciple and do the right thing at 18 years old. And that's not easy. But
no.
going back to something you said, and Reve touched upon it yesterday. You know, we talked about family here. We've talked about film. We've talked about our faith. But there's other thing that she talked about was fatherhood and how important fatherhood is. And, you know, our Holy Father overlooks everything, right? That's a 24/7 job. I mean, he's everything to us. So on this earth, the fathers are the ones who have to really, it's hard being a dad. It's hard sometimes being the one who has to go to work at GM, working all those hours, doing all those things, missing all those things. But you have to know that even though you're doing all those hours of work, you are loved and you are needed and you are amazing. The key to it is to make sure that you figure out times to spend with your kids instead of just always at your work. Because work can just become all consuming, can't it? Whatever your job is, you're like, I'm work. And I'm guilty of it as well. On the phone when I shouldn't be on the phone at night, you know, and I should be doing homework or I should be teaching or I should be coaching. And Reve's like, put the phones down. We got this box, the McDonough's box. You toss your phones in and that's it. You can't touch them. You know, and it's family time. And it's being a great dad being a great mom. It's the hardest job there is. To be a great worker is one thing, but to be a great dad and to bring kids up and to put them in the right path and to make sure they have all the information for success, that's our job as dads. And you proved that, James, by walking away from your job and going on the field and
I gotta tell you,
and being there and tears snot running down your shirt. Come on,
man.
that's everything.
Listen, man, that moment is iconic to me because it was the very thing I used to feel hurt because my father would tell me he'd come by and he wouldn't come. And I'd be sitting on the front steps waiting on him. And every time I'd see a red truck go by, I'd be like, is that him? And he was like, hey, be ready, because when I come by, if you're not ready, I'm going to keep going. And it was a threat, right? And so I didn't want to miss him. And then if he didn't come, I felt like it was my fault, something I did wrong, right? And so I made this promise that one day I'm going to be a father that does such and such. And when you fall short, because the way to be a father isn't just to do the opposite of what you saw. No, man, it's about being around other people that hold you accountable to be more so you can serve more. When I see the way that because fathering takes different roles. It goes from the nurturing side, helping them overcome something, they fall down, tell them to get up, to watching them become young men and helping them, guide them through courses, and then having enough people around you that can say what you've been saying, and then your kid pretend like it was the first time they heard it.
That's
like,
right.
Dad,
that's right.
Did you
that's
hear
right.
what he said?
That's right.
He said, if I work out, I'll get stronger. And you're like, okay.
Zip. I'm not going to say anything. You know, I was lucky that, you know, my dad worked his face off, you know, so he never really came to any of my games. And you know, my mom would try it, but, you know, they worked hard. You know, my hero growing, you know, in the last, you know, 30, 40 years, he's almost like another, you know, he's such a paternal figure in my life, although he's, you know, 6 years older than me. He's my brother, Bob. You know, here's a guy who worked his company. He has a sign company in Cape Cod. It's called Sign It Signs in Hyannis. If you need a sign, call Bob. He'll take care of you. He never missed a game. He never missed a ballet recital. He never missed a Nutcracker every year with his daughter Molly. And Katie, his wife, was exactly the same. They were the ultimate parents who were always there for their kids, and they worked hard. Katie was a teacher. Bob was at the sign company, but they made everything. They didn't miss anything. They were always there and they had to work hard to make sure they made those games and recitals and ballet and everything else. And so that kind of like stuck in my brain a lot as to what you're supposed to do in life as a parent and as a dad. And do you go to the bar and hang out with your buddies instead of being there for that game? We all have done it. and you got to stop doing it, and you got to figure out how you do the right things for your family. God figures out how to do the right things for his family. He never stops thinking about his family. He loves his family more than anything. We need to be more godlike in our parenting to make sure that we're bringing the kids up the right way. You get mad at the headlines today. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Everyone says, who are you voting for? I'm like, well, I don't know. All I can do is control the surroundings in front of me. All I can do is live by example so that my kids can say, oh, this is the way mom and dad do things. And they seem to be doing pretty well. I want to be like that. And, this weekend, our daughter, Catherine, went off and she directed her first short film to get into college. And she wrote it and she produced it and she directed it and she starred in it. And we were so proud. And there's Reve and I watching her thinking, holy smoke, our daughter has chosen to get into the profession that we're in, that most people think is a horrible, disgusting, horrible, gross profession. I wouldn't trade my life, my profession for anything. To me, it's the only job I've ever had, but I love it so much. I'm a creator. I love my being in front of a camera. To me is that's my relaxing place. A lot of guys love a golf course. I love golf too. But to be in front of a camera to me is my relaxing place because I get to create and not be Neal. I get to be whomever the character is. And that one of our kids, and a lot of our kids, want to follow suit and not just kind of be it, but do the work. Our daughter London wants to be an actress. She is an actress, and she's been in a couple of our films. And she's in the plays now, and she's working hard at her craft. And like our son Morgan, he wanted to be a D1 golfer. He worked his butt off to get there, and now he is. And Reve and I just keep pressing. Live by example, not by your word, and great things will happen for your kids. And
Listen, man, I said that, the greatest joy I have is like, you'll see guys who are building something, and then there are kids who would go a different route, and they're like, the family business. What happened?
right.
Well, it's because you didn't make the family the business. You have to be around them where they can see that they can aspire to be and join in with what you do because it becomes legacy.
Right.
Otherwise, it's the family enemy. Why do I want to do the thing that makes it so? Yeah, he paid the bills, but he didn't show me he loved me. He never hugged me. Was never there. And so to see my son come and be like, "Yeah, I want to do what you do." There's a moment I want to share with all of you, and I'll share with you as well, Neal. My son so was graduating, of course, this year, and he's 18 as well as Morgan is. He says, I was like, "You wanted a car." They started sending me these crazy cars, expensive cars. I'm like, how much are you going to contribute to it?
That's right. That's right.
Right. But then, so he's like, he's sending me Maseratis and stuff. And so anyway, I'm like, nah, not that first car. But anyway, I was like, I tell you what, if we do this, then we can't do this. So what do you want? He said, the car can wait. I said, then what do you want? I just want more time with you.
Oh,
Dude,
oh,
you're talking about impact, right? And so the car can wait moment is when someone chooses you over material things. So when we hear us say that phrase, it's a reminder that you're choosing the person over something. The car can wait. Every father, every mother, they should always aspire to leave a moment that leaves legacy. Speaking of that, if you got your calendars, write down October 12th. If you live in Atlanta, man, you're getting a preview. What we're doing in Nashville will be done in Atlanta. You don't want to miss it. This is going to be amazing. To have people come together in an accepting, loving atmosphere to touch each other's lives,
that's
you
everything.
can't beat this. It is everything. So wait a minute, my son is saying goodbye. Just say hi right quick and bye. He's headed out to go get his hair cut.
James?
Look good. There he is.
What's up, handsome?
So
Thank you.
he's an aspiring model and actor, and he's putting in the
James,
work.
you're gonna hang out with my son Morgan. You two guys are gonna just get. Yeah, I mean,
I look forward to it.
the world is your oyster. Go crack it. Go get
Then
it.
he is ready, and I'm telling you, Nashville's coming. But beyond Nashville, there are so many things that are coming up. Neal, if you would, because there are people who are watching, and for someone, man, this is the one time they get to hear something from you. Would you just take a moment and speak into their lives, just for a moment?
Boy, I've been put here for a reason, and I'm not alone. We've all been put here for a reason, And we've all been put here to be the best version of ourselves possible in everything you do. What you eat, we started this company, Flip My Life, this protein powder that has, I'm not here to sell anything, but it's Flip My Life. I got ready for this last film, The Last Rodeo, and I got shredded, and I needed something and I get kind of lazy at times when it comes to health and powders and supplements and such. This thing was like all the minerals, all the greens, everything in there. You have to take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself and really treat your body like a temple, as it says in the Bible, you'll feel better, you'll have more energy, you'll be a better child of God, and you'll be a better husband, a better father, better everything. You got to take care of yourselves. If alcohol is your problem, get rid of it. If drugs are your problem, get rid of it. If cigarettes are your problem, get rid of it. That's not easy to say because it's hard to overcome addictions. Believe me, I know. It's hard. But once you get to the other side of it and you believe in yourself and you know that you've overcome something that a lot of people can't, have faith in yourself because he's there waiting for you with his arms open. And we've all seen, Reve showed me, especially when I was going through my hard stuff, Footprints, the poem about Jesus. Where were you when, I was carrying you? He was carrying my big 200-pound butt, through all of that stuff, which I didn't even realize at the time. But after I got through it, I realized that he was there for me. I now have to be there for him because I don't know where my life would have gone had I not really given over to him and believed that I'm special, I'm unique, I'm different, I'm his child. We're all related to each other. All these great things happened when I cleared my mind. And once you clear your mind for him, the stress is off. Life becomes a beautiful thing. You're looking at the blue skies a little bit more. You're smelling those roses a little bit more. You're not worried about traffic. You got cut off in traffic. Oh, that guy's having a bad day. Where before I get cut off in traffic, I'd stop my car and want to get in a fight with somebody. It was just a different guy. And, I've become much more relaxed with my age because I realize that life is short.
On the screen, do you see that?
Flip My Life. Look at that. I'm telling you, that stuff got me yoked. But again, it's taking care of yourself. So everyone out there who's watching right now, James takes care of himself. He works out every day. I work out every day. It's the things you have to do. Keep your body as a temple. Keep working out hard, and amazing things will happen for you.
Man, thank you. Not only want to thank you, I got to say this, guys. Absolute motivation is about motivation that moves you. It's not enough just to listen and hear something. It's not about a statement or a quote that you need to hear. It is about you become the new quota for greatness for your own bloodline. Start today. All I can say is Nashville will not be the same September the 7th. And for the whole nation, you know what we're doing. Meet us over on the Absolute Motivation Official Instagram. We're about to go live right about now. Thank you all. See you soon.
That was awesome, James.
Made me an entrepreneur, teaching me day after day after day till it all was a blur. Now he on tour, he can drop in your city tonight. Never coming in for the fight, making that powerful statement.